Hello everyone, happy April. Every single month I create a series of, let's say, a practice schedule. It's a series of drills, skills, and choreography that we are working on within the memberships. You can buy a membership on my site, thatnicolefiore.com. The link is in the description, or here on YouTube. The content is the same. It's all drills, skills, choreography, and because there are hundreds of videos, I like to create a sort of practice schedule every month for you to follow and connect why we are learning certain things at a certain time. So let's start off with week one. In week one, I want you to work on your three turns, specifically your inner forward three turn. This is because we have a new skill this month that we are going to do in week three, which is the outer back three turn. Now, if you are not comfortable with three turns or turning on one foot from forward to back or back to forward, I want you to start off with your edges, which we will get into in the practice. But first, I want you to work on drills number 9, which works on transferring weight from one foot to the other. So when we're skating, oftentimes we are not on both feet. We like to pick up one foot and go to another foot. So I want you to get comfortable with that movement, transferring your weight from one foot to the other. That might sound a lot simpler than it actually is. Once you have skates on your feet, those skates are heavy. It is literally a weight on the bottom of your foot, and there are wheels on the bottom which like to roll. So we have to get used to putting our weight down into the ground, using our weight to anchor us down into the ground, and then we can go on to do things like our turns. So the inner forward three turn goes from an inner forward edge to an outer back edge. When we do this, we can focus on our edges or we can focus on the turn itself. There are a lot of things to think about and we will get into it in each video, but when you are turning from forward to backward, if you are lifting or hopping the turn, you're lifting the heel wheels. When you slide the turn, the same is kind of true because you're lessening the weight in the heel wheels. So it's the same technique whether you are just starting out or if you're sliding your turns and you're a more intermediate advanced skater, it's the same technique. So I want you to get comfortable doing this, and I want you to feel free to hold on to anything, a kitchen counter, a desk, a table, a railing, anything that you can hold on to stabilize yourself. Never feel ashamed in doing that. I would much rather have you be safe while you are practicing these things. So speaking of our practice, I want you to work on your inner forward edges as well as your backward edges. Then I want you to play with the zero. So it's like two very drilly things to work on, and then the zero is a fun dance move to work on. So we like to keep it, keep it lighthearted, keep it even, keep it balanced. So your edges are extremely important in everything that we do on skates, but especially with your 1 foot turns, because when you really want to do the turn technically correct, you're going to really need to edge in and out of that turn. So I really want you to get comfortable with your body positions while holding edges. And then the zero is a fun one to, again, work on transferring that weight like we did in drills 9, but while rolling a little bit in a backward motion. Now, if you're not super comfortable with backward skating, that is totally okay. Think of it more of a sideways move instead of a backward move. Even though we can't skate sideways, that's a way to kind of trick our brain into getting comfortable with this and getting comfortable with our backward skating. Okay, on to week 2. We are doing our choreography to Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. Ariana's having like a moment again, and I love that for her. This song is so sassy. It's very fun. It's full of attitude. It is full of transferring your weight from one foot to the other. We have a cross in front, we have a zero, we have some things to play with within this choreography, but this week I want you to focus on the beginner intermediate. So whenever I do choreography, I build a beginner intermediate as well as an advanced. This choreography, the beginner intermediate, is a beginner intermediate version, and the advanced is an advanced version of that choreography. This doesn't necessarily build from one to the other, like in terms of the song. Sometimes I do like a full chorus and the beginner intermediate starts and then you go into the advanced, it kind of connects. This one is pretty similar choreography, but just levels are different. So in the beginner intermediate, again, we have like a 0, we have a cross in front, we have an assisted turn. So if you're not super comfortable with your 1 foot turns, that's okay. We're going to use our other foot to assist us. And then in the advanced, it's a quicker 0, again, a cross in front, and then we have 1 foot turns in that without fully assisting with the other foot. So they build on each other, yes, and I do want to challenge you to learn both, no matter what level skater you are. Even if you are just starting out, I want you to check out the advance and watch it to see what we have to build up to. And not what we have to build up to, but what you can build up to. In practice this week, I want you to work on your outer forward 3 turn, your pivot, and your cross in front. Not in that exact order necessarily. Anything that I tell you, any practice, any of that can go in whatever order you want. This is just the order that I recommend it in the written blog. That is where I write it out step by step. If you want to follow that each week, that is perfectly okay. If you want to jump around, that is perfectly okay. But in the outer forward 3 turn, I want you to start feeling those edges. We're going to start that one on an outer forward edge, and you end that turn on an inner back edge. Now, keeping on the theme of edges, the pivot, or a toe stop pivot, however you want to do it, in that pivot, you use your inner edge. So 1 foot is anchored down and you're skating the other skate on an inner forward edge or an inner back edge, however you want to do that pivot. But we are paying attention to those edges. You cannot do a pivot without doing an edge. So if you are getting confused on edges, perfectly normal, I promise you. But when you're doing an outer edge, you're pressing to the outside of your skate. When you're doing an inner edge, you're pressing to the inside of your skate. That is the basic edges. That is the way to remember what you are doing. So I want you to start being conscious of this. It is hard, I know, when you're first starting out or first learning your edges to know what you're even doing. And if you ever are questioning it, feel free to send me a video. Feel free to ask me a question. I am here to help, I promise you. That cross in front is a very useful skill. It is a cool stylized thing. It's also a really good way of not falling out of your outer edges. So if you're not super comfortable with your outer forward edges, a cross in front is a really, really good safety net. So I really want you to get comfortable doing that. All right, on to week 3. We have drills 13, which is on 1 foot balance off skates. So I want you to do this one off your skates. Anything that I do off skates, you can pretty much do on skates as well, but I really want you to get used to where your weight is in your actual foot while it's not in your skate. This is very important. Off skate work is often overlooked, and even when I'm just standing here right now talking to you, I am pressing within my inner edges and my outer edges when I'm talking about this stuff, and I know exactly where I'm putting my weight in my foot. So we have to remember this, because when we put our skate on, we don't want all of that to go away. Wherever you can press, wherever you feel it in your foot, I want you to feel that when it's also in your skate. So I really want you to work on drills 13, which is off skate 1 foot balance. Then I want us to go into our new outer back 3 turn. Now the outer back 3 turn is I'm not going to say it's an easy turn, but it's an easier turn because you have the other foot right there to save you if you need it. So we start this one on an outer back edge. We will work both feet left and right, but we start on an outer back edge, and you don't need to be rolling super fast. You don't need a lot of speed to do this, and especially when you're first learning it. I learn everything and I teach everything in this room. So I have a controlled environment that I am working on this. This could be your living room. This could be outside wherever you enjoy skating in a specific area. But I like to learn things stationary and rolling just a little bit before I actually gain speed and try it. So I do recommend doing this, again, even off skates. I recommend you doing it very slowly, focusing on where you're putting your weight. Now, when we turn back to forward, I want you to be lifting. If you're hopping or if you're sliding, we're going to be lifting or lessening the weight in our toe. So it's opposite from our forward to back turns, which makes sense because now we're going back to forward. So we're going to be lifting the toe. Now, when I say lifting the toe, I mean just a little bit, just a little bit. It's not like we're fully balancing on our heel for an extended amount of time, but know that on this turn, you have that other foot there to save you if and when you need it. It is right there. You can just set it right down. Okay, now this week we have a lot of fun turns to practice. I want you to practice your inner forward 3 turn, your marching turns, and your traveling turns. Now let me quickly explain what the difference is in all of this. Our main skill this week is the outer back 3 turn. When you pair it with the inner forward 3 turn, which I want you to practice, then you get a traveling turn. So traveling turns are repetitive turns. You're really counting your rotations, not the single turns that are happening. So you would do, like, let's say you're on your right foot, you would do a right inner forward 3 turn, then a right outer back 3 turn, and keep going for as many times as you can. Please remember when you are doing this that this is a rotation. You are rotating, so your entire body has to rotate with you. Everything has to go together. Now, I also want you to practice your marching turns. Your marching turns are, let's say you're on your left foot to start out. You would be doing a left outer forward 3 turn, and then you put your right skate down. So you switch feet, again, working on that transfer of weight from one foot to the other, put your right skate down, and then do a right outer back 3 turn. So that one, you switch feet in the middle of it. Traveling turns, you're on one foot the entire time. So these are challenging, yes, but I really do want you to play with this. The marching turns are a bit easier than the traveling turns. From what I've found in my teaching, I enjoy both. I enjoy traveling turns more, but they do take a lot of practice. So please remember, we are on roller skates. This is a sport that takes, and an activity that takes a very long time. I don't want you to think that these things happen overnight. They do not. It takes a while to learn these things, especially turns like this, marching turns and traveling turns. Please be patient with yourself. Acknowledge that this does take time. If it didn't, everyone would know how to do it. So be patient with yourself. That is my #1 request for you. And then keep your knees bent. That's my second request. Okay, week 4, our final week, we are going to do our advanced choreography. Now, like I said, this is a more advanced version of our beginner intermediate. So I want you to check it out, especially if you are a more intermediate advanced skater. I definitely want you to challenge yourself to do this choreography. When I teach choreography, you can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can change it however you need to do it, whatever feels comfortable for you. So please don't think that you have to do this exactly the same way that I'm doing it, to the exact song. So many people change the song, maybe put on a slower song, maybe they don't like the song that I'm using that month, and that's totally okay too. You can put on whatever song you want to put on and do this choreography. Pay attention to the technique, pay attention to how I am going about connecting each move, because those connecting pieces are very, very important. All right, for practice this week, we are going to go back to our traveling turns because we have those within our advanced choreography. So I really want you to keep watching those, keep working on those. And when I say keep watching, feel free to watch. You have access to all these videos with a membership. So go in, watch it. Maybe a week later you want to rewatch it. Maybe something I say will click differently a week later than it did the first time you watched it. So I personally watch videos back all the time, and I even learn from myself because I forget that I said something and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be helpful to remember that. So watch videos, rewatch videos, practice it, spend time with the video. And I'm giving you a lot each week to work on. You don't have to work on every single thing in a week. You can spread it out further. All of these blogs, all of these practice schedules are linked as blogs on my website. So you can go through and re-look at anything. They don't go away. So you can look at practice schedules from even a year ago. It's all there for you, so that you can practice and you have something to look at, a guideline, because I know from experience that practicing is hard and figuring out what to practice is probably the most difficult part. So inspiration, motivation, if you need that, I am here, and the practice schedules are here to help you. So to continue on our practice this week, we have the C step. Now the C step is a little off the path of what we are working on this month, but it is inner back edges. We haven't played with our inner back edges a ton this month, unless you did the backward pivots when you were working on pivots. but inner back edges are used in the C step. It is a really good practice for, again, transferring weight from one foot to the other and kind of drawing a C on the ground. That's why it's called a C step. And it's a super fun dance move to use with just about any beat. So a slower song, cool. Faster song, cool. It's a burner for the legs. So if you do this, I said do. If you do this to a faster song, feel the burn. It's a good thing. And lastly, a toe stop spin. So I choose to end our advanced choreography with a toe stop spin. And I want everyone to be comfortable with their toe stops. You don't necessarily have to be so comfortable that you can spin on them or like run on them or anything like that, but I want you to know how to use them and know that they are a tool. They are there to stop you, they are there to help you push, and they are so useful for so many fun dance moves. And you know I love a good toe stop spin. It's really tall, it's very elegant. I love everything about it. All right. So that is our practice for this April. Please know that I am here. If you have any questions at all, if you want any extra help, I do offer private lessons online and in person. And again, these memberships, all of these videos that I'm talking about, they are all linked in my practice schedule in my blog, all of the videos for the YouTube membership and the website membership. Again, you can get access to those memberships either way. If you prefer YouTube, it's available on YouTube. If you prefer the layout of my website, it is on my website. I personally like the website version because that is the one that I can curate. So I have different pages for each section and things like that. I can actually put text and put the videos and like make it look how I want it to look. So I prefer the website, but the content is the same on either. It's on both platforms because I do know that some people prefer YouTube. So let me know if you have any questions. Please have fun with that. And I hope you have a great month. I'll see you later. Bye.